Guyana will pay for Amalia through power purchase deal with GPL, as government approaches Chinese contractor to build, own, operate and transfer hydro project. The government is forging ahead with its plans to construct a 165 megawatt MW hydroelectric plant using the Amalia Falls as its energy source. It has since retained the controversial Chinese contractor, China Railway First Group, CRFG, the company that had previously signed a contract to build the said project several years ago and to be paid for by power purchased from the project. Confirmed by Vice President Bharat Jagdeo, who Monday, during a press engagement at the Arthur Chung Conference Centre, ACCC, told reporters that a decision had been taken at the last cabinet meeting, and that government would be approaching the selected contractor to negotiate on the way forward. The Ministry of Finance, in a subsequent public missive, corroborated the Vice President's assertions, saying that Cabinet had given its no objection to the company, as evaluated by the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board, NTAB. Government had earlier this year advertised, soliciting a private partner to fund and develop the project, and according to the notice published at the time, there had been two proposals on offer. Power purchase agreement. The first option advertised, build own operate transfer, BOOT, where the developer would operate the project for a 20-year period, before handing it over to the government, at no cost. The second option, design build finance, where the government would take over the project at the commissioning date, and initiate repayment of the financing, in accordance with contract terms. According to Vice President Jagdeo, government has since opted for the proposal identified in the first offer, where the selected contractor would also finance the project. He was adamant that, in such a situation, government would bear none of the risks, financial or otherwise, and that the project would be repaid for through the Power Purchase Agreement, PPA. That would have to be signed with the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated, GPL. The Vice President told reporters, "We have a really great bid," and explained that in this iteration of the Amalia Falls Hydroelectric project, of HEP, we are not going to put any money into the project. We are just buying power. The Vice President used the occasion to explain that during its initial attempt at constructing of HEP, the administration had sought to lower the cost of electricity being produced by buying into equity, since debt financing would have been costlier. According to Jagdeo, however, this time around, it is expected that the project would be cheaper as a result of lower interest rates, but even ahead of negotiations with the contractor. As such, he said, administration is looking to generate power at some $0.07 per kilowatt hour, most capable. The Ministry of Finance, in its missive confirming the cabinet decision on Monday evening, said the no objection was granted for the Office of the Prime Minister to engage China Railway Group Limited to construct a.f.HEP. This, the ministry said, would be pursued based on a BOOT model, where the company will supply electricity to the Guyana Power and Light, GPL Incorporated, at a cost not exceeding $0.07737 per kilowatt hour, and where the company will provide the entire equity required by the project and undertake all the risks associated with the project. According to the ministry, a total of 4 companies submitted proposals, and China Railway Group Limited was identified as the most capable partner by the Evaluation Committee, after a rigorous evaluation process, following which N.P.T.A.B. submitted the relevant recommendation to Cabinet for no objection. It should be noted that checks conducted by this publication found that China Railway was, in 2019, debarred by the World Bank for practices considered fraudulent on a highway project in the country of Georgia. Vice President Bharat Jagdeo, addressing the issue of the Amalia Falls Hydroelectric project. China Railway was established in 1950. And is a subsidiary of China Railway Engineering Group, C.R.E.G. Meanwhile, Vice President Jagdeo continues to defend the project. During his press engagement on Monday, told reporters, "We are not going to put any money into the project. We are just buying power, and at 7.7 cents, and suggested that this could possibly be lowered because we are still to do some negotiations. He speculated that, with GPL purchasing power at that price, we can still sell power at 15 cents per kilowatt hour, which we are hoping to do, because now it's 30 cents, and still make a good profit for GPL. We are very pleased that the bids came in, and we have these offers now, and the project is going to move forward. Lamenting the outcome of the previous iteration of the project, coupled with the likelihood of a reduced construction cost this time around. Vice President Jagdeo reminded that it was, then, political opposition that had refused to raise the debt ceiling for guarantees by government. According to Prime Minister Jagdeo, Guyana at that time was not incurring a debt, but rather would have had to spend about $700 million to guarantee payment for the power, he said. Even after killing the project, the then political opposition, when it took office in 2015, approached bilateral partner Norway to conduct additional studies on the project. The vice president reported that, at the time, the Norwegians had again concluded that the Amalia Falls site was the best suited location to provide baseload power from a renewable source. Location justification 1. Arguing against solar as a baseload supply for electricity. Jagdeo again pointed to the lack of sunshine for days at a time, and the likelihood the country remaining without power. He did say, however, that the $80 million United States dollars that Guyana had earned from Norway would be invested in large-scale solar farms, but that these would not be used as baseload, since AFAGP and the proposed gas-to-energy project would serve this purpose. As it relates to the hydro project, Jagdeo said, the only way to achieve renewable targets is basically through the construction of the hydropower, the report from Norway said. We should retender, and I am happy we did, reminding that millions of US dollars had already been expended on the necessary environmental and other studies required ahead of the project. Jagdeo reminded reporters that a US company, Blackstone, through its subsidiary, was ready to proceed with the project before the opposition machinations that saw the company withdrawing. The Ministry of Finance, in providing some background into the history of the project, noted that the site was first identified in 1976 by the Canadian company Munn & Co. during an extensive survey for hydroelectric power potential in Guyana. It said, various studies have since justified and strongly supported the construction of the AFAGP, recognizing the suitability and attractiveness of the project. The pre-2015 P.P.P/C, People's Progressive Party/Civic government had advanced preparation of A.F.H.P. SIC by conducting extensive technical and financial studies of the project, including an environmental and social impact assessment, ESIA. The ministry said, according to the Finance Ministry, in its current formulation, it is expected that the project will require no equity contribution from government, in comparison with the previous project structure, which was based on a government contribution of $100 million United States dollars. Additionally, the current structure anticipates a cost of power that will be lower than the initial cost of 11 cents per kilowatt hour contemplated by the previous project structure.
If you like the videos I've been bringing you, please don't forget to subscribe by hitting the red subscribe button on the YouTube page. Thank you.